10 years on YouTube. Let's talk about that. Hey guys, how's it going? This is John here, and welcome to a very special edition. Mostly because as of today, this is my 10th year as a YouTuber. Well, more or less having a YouTube account. But I figured I might as well do something very special for this particular day. More or less, probably my experiences with it and everything else. I originally was going to do like a top 10 sort of deal or something else along those lines, but I just didn't feel right to me. And that's usually one of the things about me, is that usually if I wanted something cheap, I would go that route. But frankly, if I really want to genuinely enjoy videos, especially ones I want to make sure I actually like it first. And that's one of the reasons why. And this is going to be one of those videos. It's nothing special, nothing grand. It's just mostly me talking about my experiences over the last 10 years when it comes to YouTube, whether it be various things from trolling to haters and favorites and everything else, and what I've learned along the way. So let's get started. Oh, and in case you're wondering, of course, I didn't know how else to start this video off, so I figured might as well run a few errands and fucking recycle while I'm at it. Yeah, when you're living in California, recycling is like more or less a secondary hobby, because fucking as popular as the state is, it is also very fucking expensive to live in. So let's get started, shall we? Starving as a motherfucker right now. Yeah, I haven't eaten anything today, so I'm in a bit of a rush, crunching everything down. So I guess we should start at the very beginning. What, am I gonna eat this on camera? What are you, Joey Diabetes? No, I'll cut this out. Every other chance I get. So yeah, my humble beginnings with YouTube kind of started all the way back to, well, 10 years ago. And around that time I was in college, still working on my associates in media. And at the same time, I didn't think much about it at the time when it came to YouTube. I was just like, hey, it's a video channel that posts some funny stuff. And before Google bought up YouTube, you can actually put in your, all you had to do to sign up was a username and a password, and that's about it. Which was pretty basic, hence, you know, the username so I added my username, Magnetrex, hence the username that I have, or what I usually call myself on the side as well during my reviews. Like I said, I didn't think much about it, because I had multiple accounts and everything else for other various video websites. I have an account for Newgrounds, eBombs World, and Heavy.com, back when they were actually funny, before they started putting gossip rags on there. But yeah, I mean, I watched a few things every now and again and everything else, but it wasn't until around 2010 or 2012 that I really started getting more into it. And of course, when everything else didn't pan out for me after I graduated from college, you know, trying to work in television or radio, that pretty much, yeah, I pretty much decided to start the YouTube channels, the YouTube videos, because, truth be told, I always just wanted a show of my own. I wasn't in it for the fame or the money. Maybe a little dim in some spots. Maybe I'll have to came right here to the side. It's a little dark. So yeah, I wasn't in it for the money or anything else. I just wanted to show my own and say what I wanted and express how I feel about myself. And before YouTube, the only closest thing I had to show was pretty much college radio at the time. Excuse me. So yeah, trolling. Yes, I have trolled in the past, especially on YouTube. And mostly it was either out of anger or mostly because it was someone I didn't like or something else in that particular. But it wasn't until I realized that trolling people on the internet was not only a good thing, but people tend to ignore it more than half the time, which tends to die down. I'm not perfect. I'm just letting you all know right now. The only reason I'm saying this right now and posting a video like this is just to get more of a real sense of who I am, so you guys can get a better sense about it. Just letting you know that nobody's perfect. When it comes to starting up their own YouTube video or something else along those lines. But of course, over the years, I've grown out of it, and I've matured a lot. And next year, I'm going to be turning 30 years old, and that's really going to be something indeed. And of course, my channel is not perfect either. I also do get haters as well. Haters who usually throw out the negative comment every now and again, or who have to disagree as to what I say when it comes to a certain review. I'm very lax. I am the kind of guy who usually expects the unexpected especially when it comes to somebody either posting a report on me because of a review I didn't like on their video channel that they worked so hard into it. But who also works hard into making videos? Major motion pictures in Hollywood as well. But I know there's a huge difference between the two. I mean, when you're making your own movie, you have a bit of a budget, a really, really small budget in comparison to the millions and millions of dollars in budget that Hollywood producers and productions use to make their movies, even though half the time they are shit as well, which is why internet critics like myself and so many other people out there on the internet rip on them as well. And I think that was one of the most difficult parts, was that before I started my YouTube channel, I didn't know exactly what I was going to do. I mean, for one thing, I figured it was going to be a variety. It wasn't going to be just one thing. But at the same time, I wanted to do something a little bit different, something unique that nobody else has touched upon, which pretty much a lot of people haven't. I mean, there are some out there, I'm not saying all, but some who make a format like I do, but adapt it from like other internet critics, like like the Video Game Nerd and Nostalgia Critic and people like them, because growing up watching the internet, I watched those guys all the time, and they were hilarious as shit. Well, they still are sometimes, but. And of course, with those two, they have other internet critics who branch out, doing their own genre, reviewing their own genres on what they hate and what their two opinions are. And I want to try to do something like that. I wanted to do my own review show, something along those lines, because I am a very critical person, and growing up, I also watch movies and say my 2 cents, and I even blog about it in my Rotten Tomatoes page. I also talk to my friends about it as well, but my friends more than half the time were like, ugh, okay, John, we get it, shut the fuck up, or whatever. But at least on the internet, there's more of a bigger audience out there, which is bigger as in worldwide, of course, where somebody might be interested in what you have to say about certain terrible movies or songs or whatever. And then that was the really hard part, was that when I wanted to review a certain genre on something, I didn't want to be like the same old shtick where, oh, this internet critic's reviewing The Room. It's not like we've seen that the 150th time over. So I was trying to scroll for the last couple of weeks when I was trying to figure out what format I wanted or what I'm going to review. I was just scrolling through the stuff, internet videos, YouTube videos, and all that stuff. And then it just hit me. obviously, it just struck me right in front of my face. Why not review other YouTubers and other viral stars' short films that they post on YouTube and other parts of the internet, and their web shows as well? And I did. I was gonna make it like, I was gonna slam on them and all that stuff, but to be honest with you, I didn't want to be like the type of guy who just hates it because I'm a negative critic. There were a ton of web shows and small films out there, or short films out there, which are pretty halfway decent, I have to admit. And that's saying something. And if you ever watch any of my previous BoobTube reviews, you know more than half the time I would give it somewhat of a decent review or regular review. And of course, I also have to. But of course, there are other short films and YouTubers out there who make a film, and a lot of their fans like it, which is fine and dandy. But I myself personally don't like it due to a multitude of reasons, and of course I do get flack for it. But hell, I'm an internet critic. That's just my 2 cents on it. If anybody else has something else to say about it, make their own web show. That's what I tell them. I guess one of the personal obstacles that I've been trying to overcome and overfaced over the last year or two since I've started uploading videos on YouTube is, well, my acting, or more or less my overall acting skills, plus at the same time delivering speeches and everything else. Because growing up, I've always been a shy kid, barely able to talk to anybody and whatnot. And over time, I've slowly overcome that sort of thing, and that's pretty much an obstacle. And plus my uhs and ums in between sentences, I usually try my best to cut those out or something else, because normally when people utter those uhs and sounds, it's usually giving your brain a moment to think for a second before you actually talk. Yeah, I'm trying to do a lot less of that, memorize my lines when it comes to scripts, and become more of a flushed out actor, in general, or an amateur actor. Another thing I would have to say is also my breathing. I don't know if you guys have been watching my videos long enough to realize this or to notice this small little detail about me, but I am a bit of a heavy breather, and that's mostly because my overall condition that I have, which is a very rare thing. I don't really talk about it a whole lot, but I figure I might as well tell you guys now about it. And that is because when I was 13 or 14, I had really trouble breathing. And it wasn't until after I went to the doctors that I was diagnosed with what they would call a concave sternum, meaning my chest was slowly sunking in, and if they didn't do anything about it, I would have an extremely hard time breathing when I was an adult. So what they did was, I went to my parents took me to I don't want to say this hospital's name in case I get flack for it or whatever, but let's just call it Hospital A. You'll find out in a second. Hospital A is what I went to, and I had the surgery done where they put a metal bar in my chest, and they left it in there for about 6 to 8 months or so. Afterwards, as 6 or 8 months passed, they tried to remove it the first time, but it turned out that they only ripped off like 2 ends, leaving 2 sharp ends in there. As it turned out that there are different varieties of metal bars for different parts of the body. The metal bar that Hospital A used was in fact a bar that had holes in it. That should be treated more for, which apparently was treated more for the ankles and whatnot, or around the leg area. Now, when Hospital A accidentally put this metal bar with holes in my chest, during that 6 months, all the cartilage around my chest pretty much grew around it, made it impossible for them to remove it. Now, I'm not saying it was a complete loss, because we ditched that Hospital A and went over to Hospital B. As I said before, I don't want to name names about this or anything like that, in case any of this comes back to bite me in the ass. Hospital B was able to successfully remove it, and of course, I went on with my life as a very healthy, shy teenager into an adult. At the same time, I've had some breathing a small amount of minor breathing problems ever since, which is why I kind of breathe a little heavy when I make long speeches or talks like this. So I just wanted to let you all know that. That was one of the very few complications I have. I'm still trying to overcome it, but at the same time, I try to be open about it. Because the reason is that if I am a little bit more open about my own personal flaws, not only does it make me feel better and it's a little bit more relieving, but it also is a bit of a lax. It also helps. It gives me less of a chance for any other potential YouTubers who will probably do exposed videos or drama videos about me one day, which I hope I don't get into that, and they'll exploit that or point that out. Kind of like what iDubbbz did to Leafy earlier this year, where he pointed out how much of a chinless person he is, and how many times he always said literally all the time, and of course that made Leafy feel very, very unnerving. So, Leafy tried to get back at him saying, "Oh, iDubbbz looks like he's going bald." So what did iDubbbz do to respond back to this hateful comment? He shaved the top of his head, which fucking is pretty ballsy and I also realized that if you are more open about your own personal flaws to the public and also, make fun of yourself as well at the same time, it is very hard for others to pretty much get back at you or say something negative about you. It just it makes it that much harder, in my own personal experience. Apart from iDubbbz, because that guy, he would go far as to shave his head, eat vomit cake, eat hair cake that they shaved off of him, and even eat peaches in the sewers. There's very little that you can do to hate on, try to exploit him at this point. Same goes for, what's his name? Ethan Klein from H3 Productions. The guy's not fit, he's not perfect. But who is, right? Nobody is. But he also has this thing with the FUPA gut, or whatever that he has, where he just proudly promotes it. He calls it the FUPA and everything else, and now there's even a protection act called FUPA that is named after him, or his little nickname, which is quite funny. So yeah, I try to do my best to try to just to make fun of myself or just to let people know about how open I am about these sort of things. And that when I'm on camera, people tend to notice these things. So yeah, overall, yeah. But I'm hoping to one day overcome all that stuff. What does the future hold for me? Well, I really don't know. I really hope to expand a lot more on my channel and continue to do what I like to do. Not just because, I want to be the YouTuber that makes all the money. I just want to enjoy what I do and have a fun time. I want to do more collaborations with other YouTubers and whatnot, and they seem pretty stoked about it, and I do enjoy the collaborations. And I hope to do more, hopefully the next year and the following years to come. And hopefully one day, if a production company were to stumble upon my YouTube channel one day, they see how well my editing skills are, at least on the BoobTube side of things, maybe then they'll hire me as a video editor of some kind or whatever. Because I do like working on the cameras and also post-production work and stuff like that. I know I have to work on my acting chops a little bit more as well, so that's another thing I need to work on as well for 2017. I do have a lot more in store for you guys, and I just want to say that this is only just the beginning. So with that said, I just want to personally say thank you all for helping me out. 10 years on YouTube has been a great trip, and stay tuned for what's to come in the next year. So until then, I will see you all next time, man.